Hello, hello. Heather Jean here with another episode of Confidence Through Cabaret, the podcast, all things confidence. Let me just move that light and got kind of a spotlight going on there on the camera. So, if you're new to this podcast, then we are talking about things that uplift and inform confidence in our personal life, work life, and stage life. And today, I'm so excited about this conversation. I've just met our guest for today, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, and then I'm going to bring you out. So, our guest today is Denise Wester, and I'm just going to share with you the bio because I think it's really beautiful. And when Denise found herself a young single mom on welfare and not knowing where they would sleep the next night, she got courageous and busted through to make a better life for her family and herself. It's just such an inspiring story. Denise has been through bankruptcy, divorce, multiple job layoffs, and recovered from many wrong turns, as well as a severe car accident that took several years of rehabilitation. So life has been a great instructor, like it is for a lot of us, and she's experienced life-changing results herself to create a vibrant and joyful and authentic life. She's laid out methods and tools that saw her through those times in her journaling workbook, Busting Through. We're going to talk about that as well. You know that. And as a certified life coach, Denise is passionate about helping you overcome the stories holding you back, for discovering your passion, clearing up the clutter in your life that is bogging you down, and digging deep to find the courage inside for you to take action in your life's vision. Now, isn't that just the ideal, optimal confidence through cabaret, all things informing cabaret episode for us today? So here she is. Welcome, Denise Wester.
Thank
Yes.
you so much. I'm so happy and excited to have this conversation with you today.
Me too. I'm so happy. And I think I wanted to read kind of the background of your story, because I think there are so many of us that have been through tough times, where it just feels like we're sinking deeper and deeper down. And, when I listened to podcasts when I was in that situation, I would be thinking, really easy for Denise and Heather to be talking about, finding confidence. But when you're this far down, it's pretty tough. And yet you've been there.
Yeah. It is hard. It's not meaning to discount it. It is hard going through, being on welfare and struggling. And I moved 12 times in 1 year, making so many bad mistakes, and finally landing in a place and saying, stop the madness. I'm going to start here. And it's hard, I'm not trying to put a bow on it and say, no, this is great. That's why I wrote the book. It's like to kind of, this is what sought me through. This is what got me out of that hole of that total spiral, just keeping screwing up and making mistakes and not knowing what direction to go. I just got clarity, and I put those tools in my book.
Beautiful, beautiful. So let's talk about your book then. So that came out earlier this year in 2021.
Yes, just August. So it's still a baby.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so this took me a while to type this. If you're watching this on the podcast, then I have this absolutely right. But if you're listening on podcast, I want you to know the title of the book, which is Busting Through: Methods to Get Courageous, Take Action, Get Unstuck, and Find Your Personal Power. And that's available on Amazon.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So let's talk about getting unstuck. How did you get unstuck?
Yeah. Well, it's really about just taking action. And you can't take action until you get clarity. And getting clarity is what the root of my book is why it's a journaling workbook, is journaling. For me, that saved my life and gave me clarity on who I was, unpacking all the crap from my life in the past, getting past those old stories, and finding out what I really wanted to do with my life. What I really in my heart wanted to do, not what I was told, not way I was brought up in the restrictive religion. And I just discovering myself. And I feel so powerful and strong about helping others do that same discovery, because it's so amazing to get that clarity.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think when I was at my lowest points, I wish that I had had a journaling practice,
Mhm.
because I think that is such a fundamental part of being able to process those things. How do you suggest, and we will come back to journaling practice and what you suggest there, but how do you suggest, if someone is really struggling to face up to those feelings of what they're going through, to face all of that past stuff that they need to release, to do, like,
Mhm.
to do all of that,
Mhm.
I mean, journaling is a great way to do it, but is there a way to kind of, because we have to acknowledge first, right?
Definitely. And that, to me, that is why journaling is part of, for me, that exercise of you're putting it on paper with just yourself. Look at it as a conversation with yourself, your best friend. So you're in a safe place. It's not like you're, telling the world or anything like this. You're just in a safe place with yourself, and you're slowly unpacking. And so just doing that, you get so many aha moments, and just finding that space and that clarity and that moment of like, wow, I didn't even know that was there. I didn't even know that story was there. And another thing for me that really, really has helped um, get clarity, and just because my mind is always going 500 miles an hour, is meditation. Just taking that time to stop, because we got so much going on in our lives right now. Shutting your eyes and really getting tuned in on what's going on inside that head. And meditation is another thing that just really helps. And and it's not going to be easy. It's not easy. Everybody's like, this is, like I said, I'm not putting a bow on it saying, do this and everything's going to come better. No, it's baby steps. Taking the action, the first little steps to just getting honest with yourself, knowing that you're safe and you can have this conversation with yourself. You can have those thoughts. It's okay. Everybody does. And it's okay to make messy action at first. And it's this perfection we think, because I think nowadays with social media, everybody sees this perfect, beautiful world out there. And it's not. Everybody is having the same struggles, had the same struggles. And so I think that take the pressure off yourself to thinking you have to be perfect. You have to be out there shining bright. It's okay to have feelings and thoughts and work through those.
Yeah. I think that that last part is the piece that I struggled with the most, is the it's okay to
Hmm.
not be perfect,
Hmm.
because then you can let that out and you can let that go.
Yeah. And I think the perfection, and for nowadays, it's about practice. As I teach yoga too, and I always said it's about practice, not perfection. We're all not here trying to bend our legs over our head. We're here to just practice. That's why it's called a yoga practice. And I take that motto into our life. We're here practicing at life. It's not, we don't get born with a little guidebook and saying, here's your guidebook, everything's perfect. It's about practicing and getting, to me, as I write in my book, is I want everybody to get curious. It's okay to be curious in life. I have gotten curious. I've taken Taekwondo. Like I said, I've taught yoga. I teach cycling. I've walked on fire, taken belly dancing classes because I was curious, and it just broadened my horizons, and it gives you confidence. And it just, you teach yourself a little something. It's like, yeah, I really enjoyed that. And this is what I enjoyed about it. I didn't like this, and this is what I didn't like about it. So I think this being curious and broaden your horizon and stepping forward, taking that action is what will give you confidence, and what will teach you about yourself, and help you get out of that quagmire of being unstuck. Because those little steps will really help you, guide you towards the direction you really start finding out what you want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think I think that holding on to stuff. So we're all supposed to be strong. We're all supposed to, it's all supposed to appear effortless. And that knowing that everybody's going through stuff
Mhm.
is normalizing. I kind of went the other way with my journey. I kind of went well, it could always be worse. And actually, it was my grown-up daughter who said, "Yeah, but that doesn't mean that it's okay right now.
Mhm.
It's not comparing yourself." And so I love, yoga is a great analogy to that because I'm hypermobile, so I can put my
Oh, awesome.
legs
I
over my
love
head.
you people. I love you people. Like,
However, there's my own challenges, right? Because there's my own things I'm working on of like, where I'm distributing weight and how that gives me a different stretch. And then there's other people saying, well, I'll never be able to do that. And so there's that bit about comparing, like, but
mhm,
I want to be able to do that. Well, it's genetics. It's not, and work. I mean, there's work on it, but it's not about comparing ourselves to other people, and that's what
mhm,
I kept doing, and I kept saying, "Well, it could be worse because other people have it worse."
mhm,
And so I was doing the opposite of what a lot of people do, where they'll say, "Everybody else's life seems better than mine." I was sort of going, there's lots of people with a worse one," and that seemed to make me feel better, but, I think it's that bit about, just finding out what's there. So what's your journaling practice? Do you journal at a set time in the day, or how does that work for you?
Well, I think for me personally, like I said, I have a brain that goes 500 miles an hour. Excuse me. So for me, I like to journal at bedtime. I like to data dump the day, all the stuff that's going on in there that I have collected during the day. And I like to do it before bedtime because it's a great way to just let go of the day and let go of the thoughts. And so that to me is a great time. But then I will, um, since I've written the book, I will make notes in my phone during the day about stuff. It's like when I get these thoughts and I'm like, this is interesting. I need to dive deeper into that, but I'm at work and I can't do that. I'll just have a notepad in my phone and dictate a note. Um, but I really highly recommend people who have sleeping issues to do the journaling at the end of the day, because it does give you a great way to just put the day to bed, put the mind to bed a little bit, and get all those things that when the lights go out, all of a sudden your brain goes boing.
Yeah.
you know, yeah, but a lot of people have if their routine is morning, and that's a great way to start the day out with, your goals, your visions, and, and getting rid of the things that are, the stories and so, what works for you, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna I think take your advice. I'm gonna try doing it at bedtime. Because journaling in the morning isn't so great for me. Um, Not a lot comes up, and part of
Mhm.
that's because of our brain waves and the theta waves are there in the morning as well as at bedtime. But for the morning, it's not so much comes up because I'm processing a lot in my evening, in my nighttime. So I
Mhm.
think that's really good advice is just to kind of, try different things and see what works for you.
Mhm.
It's always been a morning thing. That's that.
Oh.
It's funny. It's funny, but actually now you're saying that I'm like, I'm just having a moment here because I process a lot of stuff in my bed. So probably I could let that go before I go to sleep. It would
Yes,
help.
yes, because I totally, the lights go out and all of a sudden my brain just wakes up, and it's like, and
Yes.
so it's like I really need to dump all that before the lights go out.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know that you have an interest and a passion for the power of intuition. Sorry,
Mhm.
of intuition and attention.
Uh-huh.
So, how does intention play into you? Does it come into your journaling practice?
Well, it's intention is always there, I think, with everything. I think when you think about, you bring about. And I have a great story in that when I was so poor, that people, and then we had nothing. We're homeless. We landed at this wonky rental and I had nothing. And I started getting donations from people. And um, I was given this canister vacuum, this old, it didn't have any attachments. It was just a hose. And I was grateful for that because I had something, to clean the house. But my aunt, she loaned me her rainbow vacuum cleaner one time. And I fell in love. I don't know if everybody knows what a rainbow is. It has the water canister. It's very old school. It looks like something from Star Wars. And it's got all these hoses and water thing. But I loved it. It cleaned so well. And I have allergies when I vacuum. So the dust and it kind of trapped the dust. I set an intention right there. I was going to own one of these. My goal, and they're very expensive. They're several $1,000s for these vacuum cleaners. And that was a lot for me. And the idea was like a huge dream. At where I was at that point in my life, that was a huge, huge intention. Because I was on welfare, I had nothing. And so every time I vacuumed with that wonky canister on my hands and knees, just going through the floor, I'm going to have a rainbow someday and it's going to clean my floors. I'm going to be so grateful. And I just had this whole picture in my brain. So finally, I had a job. I was making money and doing really good. It's like my list was getting a rainbow vacuum cleaner, and I got that, and I still have it. The family won't use it. They absolutely hate it. But I will not get rid of it because it just was my symbol and my intention. I had a clear picture that I was going to have that someday, and I did get that. So I think it's just having that clear picture of what you want. And it's not always about stuff. It's about, wanting that, confidence, wanting, to get up on stage and maybe do a show or do a speech, be on a podcast or anything like that. It's about intending it. And the first way you intend it is get it a clear picture in your mind. And that's where journaling can come in too. You can just write, I call it a script. I do a lot of scripting where you're just writing out your whole script of what you're intending. I intend to live in this city. I intend to have this kind of job. Write it out, script it out, the whole detail. And then after you do that, what actions can you take towards that? You've just defined an intention you want in your life. So that's kind of a roadmap now. We start taking that one baby step. If it's a job, okay, start doing research in that industry. Go maybe look at going back and taking some courses that will help you. Maybe get your resume redone and towards that direction. Start taking some little steps to get you towards that intention. And
Yeah,
that's going to give you confidence. That's going to give you action. And that's what's going to get you unstuck.
Yeah, it is, and it's got to be easier now. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's got to be easier now than the days before the internet. Because the days before the internet, you either had to know somebody who knew how to write a resume or whatever it was, or you had to take a course which you had to pay for.
Mm-hmm.
So now there's all kinds of YouTube channels and there's all kinds of, online videos and
Mm-hmm.
things that would give you those small steps.
So many,
Free.
there's so much nowadays. I agree. I used to go to the library. I remember my first resume. I went to the library, checked out a resume book and, the typewriter and typed it all out. And I was a terrible typer. Oh, I had to get somebody to type it for me. I was a terrible typer. So that was something that, so it's a whole new appreciation of all the things we have at our fingertips now. It's amazing.
Yeah, and even typing. I mean, typing was the kind of thing where that used to go on your resume or your CV of how many words per minute you could type, and you had to take a course and practice, and it was a bit like playing a musical instrument. It was a real thing. So those small steps, although they're not easy, they are accessible for people to go and find what it is that they want to do. And I mean, talking about you were mentioning things like belly dancing or yoga or there are a lot of studios do taster days and, so you can try those things. Again, there's lots of things online. So there's really a lot of opportunity for you to be able to take those baby steps. But I love what you say about writing a script. I've never thought about that. Oh, I thought about writing a script because my beautiful Confidence Through Cabaret community taught me how to write a script for my own meditations.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was very excited. I asked people what their practice was, and a couple people came forward, and so we did a live, and they taught us how to do that. But but writing a script in your journal really would help to bring that to life? I'm just imagining that because I've never thought about doing that before.
It's so powerful. And I have a book where I have kept all my scripts and my gratitudes and my affirmations. And I've kept that. And I have gone back and I wrote a date, what day I did my script, and every single one of them have come true.
Wow.
Every single one of them. It blows my mind every time I look back and I'm going, I thought, God, I wrote that script, it was back in, early 98 or whatever. And it's like, it came true. Wow. The power, it just like blows your mind. It just blows my mind every time I look back. It's like, this is good shit.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess it's a lot like a vision board for visual people, right?
Mhm. Yes, I think so. You're actually, it's very parallel to that. Yes.
And then except that with a vision board, you would keep it somewhere that you would see it and
Mhm.
you would look at it and reinforce it and so on. With a script, is it just about in that moment really getting deep into the
Deep,
detail?
deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And start painting that picture so you're getting that vision. In your site. I call it getting a Polaroid. Polaroid, when you get a clear thought of what you want, it's like to me, I even like after I do a workout and I take a Polaroid in my mind mentally of how I'm feeling right that moment to draw on later in life when you're like, oh, I don't want to work out. It's like, wait a minute, it makes me feel good, and I use it that in my book, taking a Polaroid, for people, a lot of people get bogged down with housework or, something like that. I use the story in my book of taking a Polaroid of, when you don't want to change I love changing my sheets because it's like I take a Polaroid of clean sheet day. When you crawl into those sheets, it's the most amazing feeling. It's the most amazing feeling. Why do we buck doing our sheets? It's so amazing to get in bed. So I take a Polaroid of how I'm feeling, and when I clean sheet day comes, I'm ready to strip the bed and do my sheets because I can't wait for that night when I crawl into my bed. So that's what I want everybody to do. And circling back to the scripting, just taking that Polaroid, and that's what the vision board is. It's getting your senses involved, and that's what I talk about in my book is getting your senses involved with everything you do, with your affirmations, your gratitudes, your journaling. I have tell you to talk about say it out loud what you want. So you're hearing it. I talk about, so getting that picture in your head. So you're seeing in a good vision in your head and then really getting deep, deep emotion behind it. So you're feeling it. And that's just going to supercharge you. So take that action, to take those first steps. Because I want you to supercharge it. I want you to get your passion and your emotions behind what you really have deep inside you that you want.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, and so then you have the affirmations. Do you do the affirmations at the same time as you're journaling, or is that a morning practice or
Um,
throughout the day?
all day long, all day long. And especially, I love riding my bike. And right now I have a hard time with our weather here in the Pacific Northwest, but if it's a nice day, I'm out riding my bike. I call it my gratitude ride. Because I'm just so grateful. I'm out there just saying thank you for the smells, thank you for the birds, everything I see that just sparks joy in me. I say thank you, and then I just start chanting my affirmations. What does Denise need today to hear? I am creative. When I was writing my book, I kept saying I am creative. I am, So it's like because I was like, those self doubts when you're having moments when it's like, okay, I really want to say this, and this is what I have in my head, but how do I get that out on the paper? It's like, and so affirmations to me, I listen to meditation. I do on my phone. I have the Insight Timer app. It's free. And there is a lot of meditations that are IMs. I love those because it's like interesting in when they are saying, I am smart or I am a genius. And you're like, I can't say that. And that first instinct is to say you can't. It's like, wow, that's interesting when they're going through these different IMs and something sparks a little bit of hesitancy. I need to work on that. So I find the affirmations so powerful because it starts that reprogramming because we've got all that programming in our mind of what we can't do, where we don't have the confidence, what we, all those things that are just bogging you down. It's the old stories. And you've got to reprogram that. And the way to reprogram that is with affirmations. You got to start, instead of thinking, oh, I am so dumb, I am so stupid, I'm so klutzy. I went through that yesterday. I tripped. We're doing construction at my office where I work. And so the phone lines were out, not taped up yet. And I tripped and fell and hit my head last night and yesterday at work really bad. And I just, after it happened, it's like, I am so stupid and clumsy. You know, I was apologizing to people. I was like, what? Where's that come from? You know? And so that was interesting in that, you know, I started saying that I am just like, no, you know, it's like, this was an accident. This happens. The cords weren't tied up yet. But I did have those moments of saying how klutzy you are. So I was saying these things that's like, okay, where does that feeling come from? Well, my childhood, I was old bones and lanky and a dork, and I was always called, you know, things. And so it's like working through those little thoughts that come through your head and the stories and retraining your mind and retraining that story with affirmations. It's so powerful.
It's so powerful. So do you address it there and then? So, you know, as quickly as you can?
Yeah, catch yourself immediately. Like I said, I went back to my desk and I'm going, now after like putting ice on my head, I was like, you are not a klutz. You are not stupid. You are not a dork. You are, you are smart. This, you know, you did not see the cord there, you know, just reprogramming that whole story, that thing that just happened, and diving deep into why did those words ever come out of my mouth? So, you know, here I am, wrote a book, and it's all about confidence. It's all about busting through, and it's all about methods. That doesn't mean that, okay, nothing's going to happen to me ever again. No, it's about putting the methods down and the strategies so that I noticed when my mind went to those words when I tripped and fell, and noticing those new things and having the methods for when things do happen in their life, because they are going to happen. You have the methods to get through them. You have the skills to learn. You have the skills to step forward and go around them or go through them, whatever you need to do.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So, and then I guess that can come up again in your evening journaling of, you know, kind of like some of the stories of where did that come from, or, you know, what, you know, memories that it triggered, like being a child and so on.
Yes, exactly. And so it just, every little things that happen in your day like that, you just have new eyes on, and you take those new eyes and you grow and you get confidence, because it's like, okay, that I'm not that person that's going to now go back and it's like, okay, I can't walk into the office. I'm going to be embarrassed because I fell, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to be that person anymore. I'm just going to, it's like, own it and, you know, and move forward, you know.
Yeah.
And be leery of phone lines.
Yeah, absolutely. And the interesting thing is that we wouldn't think anything like those things about other people if they fell. We wouldn't be saying you're so klutzy and you're so, you know, we would just be saying, oh, that was an accident. It could happen to anybody. And all of those same things that we would say to somebody else, we need to be saying to ourselves, right?
Yes, yes, we have to. And you have to really listen to that person inside that's crying to get out, give it a voice, start writing that voice down in your journals and start taking some action steps. And you are courageous. I put the title of Courageous in my book because it was really something I never, with all the stuff I've been to, I never gave myself that title, courageous, until just last Christmas. It was an interesting story. We were talking with my daughters about what year it was, the rat, mouse, whatever, I don't know what it was. And they said, oh, Mom, you're this. And the title, it says, they are courageous. And she goes, that's you. And I'm like, I never, until just recently, this last year, thought of myself as courageous. It was my kids that pointed that out. And I was like, yeah. Yeah. So I was like proud of myself. It's like, yeah, I guess I was courageous. I have been courageous and taking steps forward and getting out of welfare, getting out of a bad marriage, and just, you know, stepping forward and doing these podcasts. You know, the shy girl that I know that I was as a little kid, who was scared to talk, scared to people, that person would never be here today talking. But, you know, you have to start doing it, and you have to move forward and be courageous.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. And everybody has their journey. You know, people say to me the opposite. People will say, "Oh, but it's so easy for you because you can talk." Because
Mm-mm.
I would always have gone to a podcast because I'm an extrovert and I that but my struggle or journey is equal and opposite. You know, being quiet, getting quiet and
Mhm.
listening, those things
Mhm.
that you do naturally. And so it's really about tuning into the way that you are and seeing them as gifts, I would say. Now, tell me about your journaling. So you said you have a special journal for your scripts, right?
Mhm. Scripts
So
and for
you
my gratitudes and my affirmations, yes.
okay, so you have different books for different things or different
Well,
journals?
I do. I That's the way I have always done it. And like when I did was when going through my car accident, the pain, being stuck in that pain body, I knew I needed to journal it out every single day because I didn't want to talk about it because you talk about it to the doctor and I wanted to move beyond it. I didn't want my life to be about that accident. So I made a special journal for that and I just wrote all my pain down every single day in it because I knew I was never going to read it. I never was going to look at it and I knew someday I was going to burn it. And I have. And that was a beautiful
Yeah.
ceremony. But in my book, I have a section in it just to, for the first part of the book is each chapter kind of does a little story and little learning, and then it's all about taking action. I have questions in it to do journaling prompts. I have things in there to do meditations. I have questions for you to start writing your gratitudes and your affirmations. And there's a section in the back of the book that is all for journaling. There's a section all for your gratitudes. And then there's a section all to collect your affirmations. So when you're having that crappy day, go back to the back of the book here and you have a whole list of affirmations that you can start. Yes, I am worthy. Yes, I am powerful. And so then you're kind of like, and you say it out loud. And so you can hear it, you start feeling it, and it can help you overcome whatever you're going through that day. And I really highly recommend. And after fill up my book with your gratitudes, affirmations, and your journaling, then you can go on and get your own journals and, make it however it works for you. Maybe you want to collect it all together in one journal. Maybe you kind of keep it separate. Maybe some people don't want to, they get really, really stuck. I've talked to so many people on the idea of journaling. It's like, I don't journal. If that is what you say, then you really need to journal. Get the
Yeah.
pencil and paper out. And if you are afraid that somebody that someday is going to read what you have to say, then destroy it afterwards.
Yeah.
Get it out of that head, get it out of your body, get that clarity. And if you really are uncomfortable with having that on a printed paper, then destroy it.
Yeah.
Get rid of it. That's okay. It doesn't mean you have to, you scroll it away forever, but I think it's a powerful way. I've looked back at I haven't done it very often, once in a great while, every like 5 years or so, I'll pull a journal out and read it. It's like, wow, you've really grown. And it's a great way to see that when you have, look at the old stuff that's in your head and just like, wow, it's a great way to kind of help encourage you too, because you see how you really grow. But it's okay if you don't feel comfortable with that, to get that, but first get the stuff out of that head and out there on that paper. Then second, if you are uncomfortable keeping it, go ahead and throw it away, shred it, rip it, burn it. I have a whole exercise in my book. I call it the wall exercise, to be burning those old stories to get behind you. So please read my book. If you have some stories that are just bogging you down, get my book. I have a whole chapter on getting rid of those, and it's so powerful. It's been very, very powerful for me.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I actually have 3 separate books for my journaling,
Oh,
and I find it distracting because as soon as my brain goes off into one direction, I'm like, "Oh, that goes in this other book." And then it
oh,
brings me back into the conscious, logical, organizing, controlling kind of brain, and it's almost like if that comes up, then I just have to keep on writing. Which is why I asked you that question because I think that's interesting that you're kind of like,
mhm,
okay, I need to write a script about that. Let me grab that and then right
mhm.
there. I do have 3 of them, but they're all full of all kinds of stuff. It's all over the place
That's
because
okay.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
yours. Do what you want.
exactly, exactly.
No journaling police is going to come and say you did it wrong.
No, there is no journey police. Okay, so what about people who type like electronic notes? Is there
Yeah.
something about pen to paper?
Well, for me it is, but when I rethought that after I started writing my book, and I really enjoy the typing and getting it out because, um, and so and it's much more easier to read. My writing at some point, journaling sometimes is like I'm never going to be able to read this because it's just, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be if you are a typer or if you want to dictate. Nowadays with the phone, if you want to, there's just open and have a notepad with your journaling the date and just dictate it. That's okay. If that's a method that resonates with you and that works for you, it's you. It's your process. Like I said, there's no journaling police. Explore all the different avenues and see what works for you. It's okay.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, Denise. Have you ever been to a cabaret show?
Yes, I have. I love it.
Okay.
Love it.
All right. So what kind of things have you seen in cabaret in terms of like styles of cabaret? Because it's for anybody who's listening who's not familiar with cabaret, that could be singing, it could be dancing, it could be burlesque, drag kings, drag
Mm,
queens, could be aerial, could be contortion, could be all kinds of different things.
mhm,
And it's typically defined by something that's in a small venue, although you'll sometimes see cabaret performances like Dita Von Teese performing in burlesque in a massive
mhm.
auditorium or theater. But typically it's defined by it being in a small venue. So what kind of cabaret have you been to?
Well, here in the Northwest, we have Tetras and Zani's, which is the in the tent, the dinner theater, and you
Ah,
have a story going on, and you have the acrobats, you have the singers, you have the performers in between the shows, and beautiful, the jugglers and things like that. Or there's Can, which is the same thing. And they're both beautiful venues, and it's amazing that we're talking about this because I was just yesterday looking online. I was like, I haven't gone to this since COVID, so I need to. We love to go and watch these because I just find them amazing and inspirational and a great entertainment.
oh, me too. Oh, me
Yes.
too. Okay, so if you were performing cabaret,
Ooh.
what would you be performing? What kind of act would you want to do?
Wow, that's really scraping because here that's a fun story. I think I would love well, to me, if I was acrobatic, I think that would be a lot of fun. I just admire the acrobats and people performing in those amazes me every single time I watch them of what their training has been able to accomplish to do some of these amazing things. So I think that would be so much fun to be able to do stuff like that.
Yeah, because that is the definition of mind over matter, right? There's not
Yes,
like this, I can't do it. And
exactly.
it's fabulous watching. I mean, even watching circus acts, it's like the difference between gymnastics and circus for me is almost like one is almost two-dimensional, and then
Mhm.
the other is there's this extra dimension that they seem to have available, which is unlocking their mind and going, well, let's try this and make it work, and they just keep practicing till they get it. So I love that. So if
Mhm.
you were taking one prop on stage with you, what would your prop be?
The first thing that came to my head was a chair. I don't know why, but I've always admired, I guess, because I just saw a cabaret show in Vegas and they were doing these amazing things, just doing handstands on a chair. So like the first thing that came to my mind was a chair. I don't know why.
Beautiful. I love a chair. You can do so much with a chair, and it's so simple
Mhm.
because there is so much acrobatic stuff you can do on a chair.
Yeah.
And then there's also the dance and the movement around it
Mhm.
and the playfulness of it and actually even just turning it upside down and things. So, there's all kinds of angles.
Mhm.
I love that. Okay, and what would your stage name be, Denise? Yes,
Oh,
you
that's
do. You do. You do. You so do.
okay. Denise the Magnificent. Okay.
Ah,
There you go.
there it is.
Mhm.
There it is. Please welcome to the stage, Denise the Magnificent.
You got to have a big flowing skirt with that one so I can come out with a big skirt.
Amazing. And then you can approach your chair or reveal your chair or oh, I love that. Fabulous. Fabulous. It's interesting, isn't it, when we kind of go, "Oh, I can't say those things." And we were just talking about that, about,
Yeah, it's like, woo.
courageousness. You know, and it is that. It's that funny thing of, "Ooh, I don't want to admit you to that really powerful, fierce, strong, capable." performing side
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's a hard one. And for a lot of people, they'll overthink that, and they'll try and come up with something a bit clever or quirky or whatever it is.
Hmm.
And yet we know that side of ourselves.
Hmm.
We know that magnificence.
Yeah, that's fun. But I'm
Yeah,
never gonna go to the stage with one of those shows again without listening to their names and going, that's a good name. I might have to change my name now.
yeah, yeah, and you
My
can, you
my
can.
cabaret name is gonna be different now because that just inspired me.
Oh, you'll need to message me when you change it. I love names because they mean so much. And for me, because I do so much work around imposter syndrome stuff, it's really about, you've got this imposter voice, but then you've also got the Denise the Magnificent who can go, shut the hell up. We're doing this. Here we go, and it's just a really different energy, isn't it? And you can
Yeah,
tap into that energy anytime, which is why I
yeah,
love
I
that
love that.
question. Yeah, so and it is a very different thing once you tap into that and you're going on stage. And I've stage managed enough shows to see some of the best performers from the UK and the US and around Europe, where they'll be backstage going, okay, and then as soon as
Yeah,
they're into that stage name, they are off,
yeah,
and it's a different thing. It's a different adrenaline.
that's awesome. I love it. The persona. Yes.
Mhm, mhm, yeah, and it's a great well for confidence. So next time you go, yeah, the
I
stage names
will.
are fun and they mean something.
Yeah.
They really do mean something. My stage name, because I do perform professional burlesque, my stage name is also Helen. And I have changed it this year. It's very meta. It was Helen back because that was the tale and the angst and the releasing of all the crap in the background in
Hmm.
the past. So there was a very different style, and I didn't want to have to hold on to all of that. I wanted to let that go. And so I kept Helen because that was a very strong identity. For some
Hmm.
reason, people in the UK call me Helen. I don't know why. So I just worked it in. But also Helen is about I can have all of that past. I can also be strong. I can also be fierce. I can also be, beautiful. I can also be, sensual. I can also be, filthy. I can also be whatever I want to be. And so
Hmm.
that was where that kind of came from. And a lot of times people feel like they have to come up with something that's a play on words. In the UK, it's very popular to have a play on words of things, and so, but I love that you came forward with your persona of magnificence. That's fabulous. Oh,
Yes, yes.
yes, yes. Okay, so what is your favorite part of your book?
I think my favorite, oh gosh, that's my baby. Everything about it is amazing.
Yes, but there's a part that you're like, yeah, but this
Oh,
part rocks.
well, to me, the part that rocks is the wall exercise, and I haven't talked about that on any podcast or anything because I really want you to read the book,
Okay.
the first part of it, and it kind of starts telling the story and why you need to do this. And to me, it's so powerful in getting rid of those stories that are just in there, just stopping you. And so that is my favorite because I think it's pretty juicy and
Okay.
powerful.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So get the book. Get the book. Busting Through Methods to Get Courageous, Take Action, Get Unstuck, and Find Your Personal Power. And it is on Amazon. And check out the wall exercise. Love
Yes.
that. What's your
Thank
favorite lesson that you've ever learned?
Oh my gosh, so many lessons. So many, that I can do it. You can you get an idea. I mean, here, everybody's like, how did you write a book? It's like it was interesting. It's like I never thought I could, and I've told the story before. My best friend and I, we love wine, and we started drinking wine, and she's like, let's write a blog. And my first instinct was like, I can't write. I got an F in school, in English, but we just were passionate about it. We started writing. And so it's like, I love this. And so it really exercised that muscle in stepping forward into that scary stuff to start doing the things you're passionate about.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Denise, it is such a fun conversation. We
Yes,
have
I love it.
such parallel paths. I just want to remind everybody from the bio at the beginning, Denise is also a certified life coach, helping you to overcome the stories holding you back and discovering your passion, clearing up the clutter in your life that's bogging you down, and dig down deep to find the courage to take action in your life's vision. And I say that because we've talked a lot about the book, and I just wanted to go back to, for some people, working through those exercises with a coach is the way forward. Not it's
Mhm.
not all things, not everybody needs that,
Mhm.
but there's a range there. So
Mhm.
where
Exactly.
can people find you, Denise?
Well, on Facebook, it's Denise Wester. I have a website, denisewester.com, and you can always email me at pr@denisewester.com. And after you buy my book, you send a picture with you in my book, and then you get invited into a very private, closed off Facebook group where I'm going to continue to support you. I have journaling prompts, more quotes, things to inspire. And I wanted to create a very collaborative community that we can help each other with our wins and support each other with our wins and support each other with our stories and be there for each other. And then, and me as a life coach, I'm accessible to reach out to me personally too, with whatever you need. So you can reach out again, pr@denisewester.com, and Instagram, I'm Denise R. Wester. So I would love to hear from you.
Beautiful, beautiful. For those of you listening on podcast, Denise is Denise, and Wester is Wester. I know that sounds like a really obvious thing, but not everybody spells everything the same way, and
No,
not everybody's
I get a lot of B's in my Wester a lot. Yeah.
yeah, not everybody's, first language is English and all of
Yep.
those
It's
things.
okay. That's okay.
So I love that. Denise R. Wester on Instagram. So get in touch and reach out if it's anything you want to talk about. Or obviously, there's instructions in the book of how to reach you with
Mm-hmm.
the photo of you
Mm-hmm.
in the book.
The
My
book's
key
on
takeaway,
Amazon. Yeah.
yeah, my key takeaway is the Polaroid thing. I think I will try journaling in the evenings. That is a definite. But I think the Polaroid thing is beautiful because I so relate to the clean sheet Polaroid. I look forward to it every weekend, and I think that extending that, and that's the thing, is extending the strategies that work for you in one part of your life, then try them in other parts. So
Yeah.
I'm going to try Polaroids in other parts of my life because I definitely have a clean sheet Polaroid, and I definitely have an exercise Polaroid. But I need to extend that practice. So I think that's beautiful. Thank you for
Fun.
sharing that. Yes. Denise, I loved this conversation. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Great
Um,
conversation.
yeah, it is just I've written so many notes. I'm even going to show you. I've written so many notes. I'm just like, I
Awesome.
know. I know, because I'm like, oh yeah, I want to go back to the podcast. I want to go back to this part and just listen to that bit again. And yeah, so I've got a scrolling page of notes if you're listening to this on podcast. So as always, I will post the video. If you're listening on podcast, go to the Confidence Your Cabaret YouTube channel and you can watch the podcast and you can see Denise and I. You could also see the Confidence with Coffee, which is a short segment around kind of key highlights and my own kind of key takeaways of my conversation with Denise Wester today. Thank you once again, Denise.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here and listening. And I'm Heather Jean, reminding you that it is your body and it is your world and it is your stage. Take up space, everyone. Enjoy, own it unapologetically. Bye.
Beautiful.